Okay, Gabby, I have a source. I have a source who reached out to me after last week's podcast. Actually, someone who reached out to me on Monday last week to tell me something. I'm not going to say who this is, to tell me something about you in Germany. Now, on last week's podcast, you told the story. We kicked off the podcast with this story about you delivering your son while you were playing hockey in Germany. Now, this unnamed source told me that while you were in Germany, the only thing you learned how to say was how to order a hamburger. Is that true?
Hey, I still know how. And it's Zwei Hamburger Royale, nur mit Ketchup ohne alles, and a grosse pommes frites and a grosse Cola. That was it.
So the whole time you're in Germany, that's the only thing you learned how to say?
No, I learned words like Verteidiger was his defenseman, and Sturmer, and it's funny because I watched the movie last night and had some German talking in it, and I'm saying, hey, I was repeating it, and so I knew what it was going on every word, but I don't hear German talk too much, so it doesn't bring it back. But I got by the end of the year. It's
right.
It's at the beginning of the year that I was struggling, but I'll never forget how to order at McDonald's, because that was the only place I ate in Germany there for the longest time.
Okay, the other question I have for you, and I'm not going to say who my source was, but his name might rhyme with Ben Boudreau, but I'm just going to leave that there and not name this person.
Okay.
And anyhow, real quick question before we kick off the podcast today. Have you ever played defense?
I don't think I've played one shift ever defense. Even I even wanted to, I always thought, boy, I want to play the point in the power play, but I never got a chance to do that. I was always the half wall guy, but no, defense was not something in it. Oh, you know what? I'm lying. There's a story to be there. Do you want to hear the story?
Okay. No, we don't do many stories here on this podcast. Go for it.
Okay, here, as we're talking, I'm thinking I was never a defenseman, but when I played, who was the coach? Nikolak was the coach in Toronto.
Mike Nikolak.
Okay? Mike Nikolak, okay? Yeah. And I asked to get sent down after we lost, because I'd played in the minors most of the year, and they were in the playoffs. And but I'd played the last 40 games up in Toronto. And not too many guys ask to get sent down when their team is beaten out when you're in the NHL and in your staffs. But I wanted to play. And so I went down there, and we played the Maine Mariners. And Mike would come down and he saw us play. And I remember coming out of the game, I don't know, it was game 4, something. I had a really good game. And he said, Bruce, he says, don't you worry. Next year, when we're starting the team, he says, you're my number 2 center. He says, we will get good wingers for you to play with. Okay, so you'll be there. Just keep going. So, I mean, that was music to my ears. And we trained all summer. I worked my butt off. The very first day at camp, me and Mike Kazicki were on defense.
Oh, wow.
On the B squads, we were playing defense, and I got cut in a week and sent back to the minors. I was so disappointed that I never took, from that day on, whenever anybody said something to me, I took it, okay, I'm listening to you, but I don't know if I believe you, So, I mean, that was the only time I played defense. And boy, I was so disappointed at that point. I don't know if I even made an effort at it, that because I figured I was coming in, I was going to be on the Leafs, the number 2 center behind Sittler, and boom, everything else happened.
We're going to talk in a couple of seconds here, not about a center turned defenseman, but a defenseman that you were asked to turn into a center. Let's kick it off there. Welcome to the Hockey Lifers, brought to you by PenFed Credit Union. Great rates for everyone. Okay, here we go. Once again, welcome to the Hockey Lifers. Jeff Marek alongside Bruce Boudreau. Coming up a little bit later on, we kind of have a theme going on here today, Gabby. We're going to talk a lot about defensemen, and we're going to talk about one of the best of Washington Capitals defensemen of all time, Rod Langway, who we sat down with a couple of weeks ago in Washington in advance of the Caps Oilers game. But before we get there, you know, there's a defenseman in the NHL who currently plays for the Vancouver Canucks. And I say currently because some are wondering if we should put a question mark beside his name as to where he's going to end up. And that is Quinn Hughes. And you've coached Quinn Hughes when you were with the Vancouver Canucks behind that bench. I believe there's a story about you being asked to turn him into a center or at least play him at center. Before we get to that story specifically, when I say the name Quinn Hughes, what jumps into your mind right away?
Talent, skating ability beyond what you think is good, and a guy that could pass the puck on a dime, like from the goal line to the red line. And he's as good a passer as anybody I've ever seen. And I always compared him to passing like Nick Backstrom, and but he's so smooth. He can evade. Very rarely does he get hit. It's almost by accident if he gets hit. He can evade you either way. And, you know, I remember, before my last year, we were looking at somebody to play the right side with him. But he said, listen, you know, I'm going to practice all summer long on the right side, and I'm going to shoot pucks. Because it's the one thing he didn't do was shoot pucks. Like he'd get 8 goals and 65 assists. And he wanted to make sure that he got up into that 80-point range. And we had talked. I said, I think you can get 80 points and plus this year. And he worked on it and so dedicated to his craft, and wanted to make sure that he was a better player every shift. He was another one of those guys that said, when we played in Edmonton, he'd say, Bruce, he says, make sure I'm on when McDavid is on every time, because I can skate and I want to be able to play against him.
Listen, the name of the podcast is Hockey Lifers. The Hughes family are all hockey lifers, in for a penny, in for a pound. Was he always like that with you? Like it was just all about hockey? I know that, you know, as you mentioned, he wanted to not just be a distributor. He always wanted to be a shooting threat as well. So he shot and he worked on the places that he was deficient. Was he the 24/7 hockey guy for you in Vancouver?
Yeah, he was all day, every day. His whole life was centered around hockey, getting better at hockey, and doing things. And when he'd go home and we'd talk in the summer, it was the same thing. And how to improve, how to get better, what do I need to do? Like we were trying to put Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the right side, and we didn't think that he was the right guy. So Quinn, we were looking for a right-handed defenseman. We couldn't find one. But Quinn wanted to see if he could do it. So I had him on the right side all of training camp, and he practiced it, and he practiced his shot. I just thought that in the end that Quinn Hughes on the left side, I didn't want to make him just equal. You know, like I wanted to keep him at the superior position he was at, where he was really good, and not bring him down to just sort of average, if that makes any sense. So, at the end of training camp, we moved him back to the left side, which is where he was much more effective.
Share with us a story about you being asked to make him a center.
Oh, yeah, that was, it happened. I was on the NHL Network, and something came up, and they were talking about Quinn Hughes, and I laughed, and they said, well, what's up? He says, you know what? He's going to win the Norris, and they were trying to trying for me to make him a center that year. And I went, wait a second. Then they all started talking about it, and everybody across the country got a hold of that. But what had happened was, in the summer, Jim Rutherford said, any thought about, the analytics say that he would be a really good center. And I said, no, I have no thoughts of playing Quinn at center. And he would, if you know Jim, he would subtly come in and he'd say, you know what, I think he would be a good center. I think you should try to make him into a center, which used to boggle my mind, because we had Pettersson, we had Horvat, we had Miller, Where was I going to play him? Fourth line center? It made absolutely no sense to me. And the funny thing was, once it became public, Rachel Dory, who was on our staff at the beginning of the year, phoned me up and said, "Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because in the analytics, when I was in the analytics department, they kept telling me how good Quinn would be as a center on the team, and how he's deficient at defense, and if you changed it up, it would be really good." And I said, "Oh, well, at least I know that I wasn't dreaming this stuff up. I mean, I was told this, and because it made absolutely no sense to me. But there's some things, GMs tell you, and coach and bosses tell you, and you have to be strong enough to say, I'm just not doing that, or that's not going to work in the way I do things. But like, there's on the same token, there's times when Jim would come down and say something, and I'd say, you know what, I'm going to try that. That might work. And but this was not one of them. It was probably one of the dumbest ideas. That next year he wins the Norris, and if he didn't get hurt last year, he would have been right up there with the Norris. And I'm sure he's going to be right in the voting again this year. He's an elite defenseman, and the things he can contribute from the back end are amazing. So I mean, I think it would be. I think he would have a hard time with it, first of all. But here's a guy that plays 28, 29 minutes a night, and you want to throw him back down to playing 18 minutes a night? I just don't think would work.
Did you ever worry about him? Because he still plays a lot of minutes. I mean, he's out there for almost half of every single game. Was there ever a concern with Quinn Hughes about him getting too worn down?
There was. But I mean, he always seemed to just embrace the ice time. I mean, I remember the second year, our first preseason game after the first period, he played 10 minutes and 29 seconds. I had to go in and say, "Trent, relax on this guy. It's the first preseason game. Don't play him every 2 seconds out there." I know it was his first game at the NHL level too, but I was always worried about it, but he always seemed, to be able to handle it. It was so effortless for him. He never came to me with a fatigue question. I would go to him, "Do you need a day off? Do you want an extra day off?" Because he's been playing a lot. But I sort of really handled his practices and stuff where it wasn't too exerting for him, or would give him these extra days off, because I knew he was playing between 25 and 30 minutes every night.
Did you ever talk to him and say, "Hey, it's been proposed that you go to the middle up front"?
No.
Never that conversation? Never even whispered to him?
Never even whispered it to him, and didn't even want him to even think that thought was anywhere in my mind. And so no, and I think I would have looked like a complete ass if I had done that. It would have made not only no sense, but you're taking your best defenseman from a relatively weak defensive team and putting him at center, where your strength of the team was at center. So I mean, unless you wanted me to really screw up and look really terrible, there was no apparent reason for that to ever happen.
All right. We'll see what happens with Quinn Hughes. Meanwhile, around the NHL, here we are at the quarter mark of the NHL season, and there's some teams that have surprised and distinguished themselves as elite. And we think of the Colorado Avalanche, and we think of the Dallas Stars, who are an absolute wagon right now. And in the Eastern Conference, meanwhile, despite the injuries, the Tampa Bay Lightning are seeing some incredible success. As we record this podcast, they've won 7 games in a row. Andrei Vasilevsky has a .917 save percentage, and they're doing this without Braden Point, without Victor Hedman, without Ryan McDonald, without Eric Chernak, and a top pair, and no offense to these defenders, JJ Mosier and Darren Radish. How is Tampa doing this, Gabby? I mean, is it all coaching? Is it all Vasilevsky? What is it?
I think it's a combination of all of them. I think the coaching is the best. I mean, he's unwaverable. You play the way John Cooper wants you to play, and you're fitting in parts and those parts are now doing exactly what he wants, the way he wants you to play. Vasilevsky is playing as good as he played 5 years ago right now. And you're getting balanced scoring from everywhere. Look at Braden Point still only has 3 goals this year, 11 points or something like that. I mean, and they're still doing what they're doing. I find it amazing. I mean, I picked them to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the season, but I didn't pick them to be this good without the major players that they were missing. So, I mean, if they can continue even a little bit like this, and I know they play a couple tough games coming up, but then I think once their guys get back, I think they will be the team that ends up first in the Atlantic.
They look really strong. They started off the season pretty soft, but it has been a freight train so far for the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to have a defense theme here on the program. We're going to ask you about a number of players that you've coached on the back end, whether it's Mike Green and Sergei Fedorov and Hampus Lindholm and Cam Fowler and Jonas Brodin and Jared Spurgeon and Ryan Suter, etc. In the meantime, want to present this Rod Langway interview. Rod Langway, a Hockey Hall of Famer, Stanley Cup champion, one of the greatest defensemen the Washington Capitals have ever had, maybe the best defenseman the Washington Capitals have ever had. And we're going to have a conversation about Jakob Chychrun and a conversation about Chychrun Carlson as well. In the meantime, enjoy this interview with Rod Langway, recorded a couple of weeks ago at the Capital One. So, Gabby, our guest today is a Hall of Famer, is a 2-time Norris Trophy winner, was part of what I consider the best year in the history of hockey, 1987. More on that later. Mm-hmm. But what I'm really excited about is I get to sit across from and beside 2 legends from the San Francisco Spiders. We're going to get to your stories in a second, Gabby. Rod, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you.
And when I say San Francisco Spiders, what comes to your mind right away?
Getting back into hockey. I mean, I got a phone call from
John Perron.
And he said, "Do you want it? You're able to play and be an assistant coach?" I said, "I'll try it."
Yeah.
So they gave me a year contract and got out there in less than.
You see, let's stop you right there. I mean, if he phoned you before, that was Game 3 when he fired me. So he must have just said, "Oh, I don't like that Bruce in Game 1."
No, he didn't tell. Honest to God, I didn't even know who the assistant coach was.
Yeah.
I never asked questions. I mean,
No,
I'm going
get
out
it.
there, and I was getting out of Richmond, Virginia, and I coached in the East Coast League a little bit just to help out and try to get back into it. So I grabbed it, and Bruce was the assistant coach, and like he said, 3 games, all of a sudden we're on the ice. I'm practicing. And all of a sudden, John comes out and says, "Run the practice." Bruce isn't there. That's the last time. Well, I saw him later on in the year, but
How'd you like the crowds there?
Awful.
Like they played in the Cow Palace, in Oakland.
Legendary venue.
And there must have been. I went to a couple games after getting let go because I'm from the East Coast. I didn't know a soul out there, and there might have been 100 people in this venue.
100.
Yeah, and because when you drove there, like there was one side of the street you couldn't go. They said the cops didn't even go there. Like, I mean, right? Is this not true? And then they had a big fenced-in parking lot where we could go. But I mean, I can imagine why nobody ever went there.
And everyone says it's a great place.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to somebody who says, "Oh, I was there for a concert or horse pull or rodeo." I said, "I used to love going there." And all of a sudden went down the tubes, and they put a hockey team there. Only lasts a year.
You know what? What? Like, if we're going to talk about the Spiders just briefly, is they spent like $6 million for a franchise or something like that, and then they hired John, who was famous coach of the Montreal Canadiens, and they did all their advertising about hockey and on all the TV stations in August in California. Who cared?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, their big ad was Spiders hockey, get bit, and they show a tarantula biting a human arm. Like, who wants to go to a game after that? Like, I'd sit there and go, this advertising is way off.
You had another unique stop too, and listen, on this podcast, we've already talked plenty about the WHA, but the Birmingham Bulls, and the one year that you were there, Rod, this must have been the toughest team in all of hockey. So it was Bad News Bilodeau, Steve Durbano,
Frank Beaton,
Dave Hansen, and Frankie.
Beaten.
Never beaten,
Seldom.
Seldom beaten, always beaten.
Yeah.
Depending on the career. What was playing in Birmingham like? I have an Eli Gold story for you. But what was it like for you?
Well, again, I got there the first time professionally.
Yeah.
I was getting paid, number one, and the guys were great. I mean, I was playing with Mark Napier, who Bruce knows very well.
Yeah.
And I think he just scored 61 goals in the WHA. He was a big superstar.
Yeah.
Played with Frank Mahovlich, Ned Amansky, two legends.
Of course, yeah.
And
Ken
I didn't
Lintzman
know
on
what
that team? Kenny? Ken Lintzman
Yes,
on that
I
team?
think he was the leading scorer in that.
He was
right?
the one that broke the 18-year-old.
Correct.
He fought in court. And he
Why
won.
we have the draft the way we do
That's
now.
right.
Yeah.
And he was there, and we had a ball. I mean, it was a little transition when we. I think right around Thanksgiving, they started saying we're going to be tough. They went to Cincinnati. I was in Hampton with John Brophy for about a month, and
Speaking of tough.
well, I think that one of the reasons I learned how to fight and everything else was being coached by him. And then I think it was in Cincinnati, they had that big brawl. The puck didn't hit the ice, and everyone fought.
Yeah.
And that was the up-and-coming Birmingham Bulls.
You know, there was your play-by-play announcer who went on to college football and NASCAR. His name's Eli Gold. I remember talking to Eli, this was like 2005, and I asked him about Birmingham. Like, this is like a new market, like I said, a virgin hockey market, really. And I said, like, what did the fans like? Like, these are new hockey fans. Well, I thought he was going to say, like, oh, the bench clearing brawls, the long hair on the guys, the back scratch and slap shots. I thought that. And he said, you know what the fans went crazy for? I said, what's that, Eli? He goes, it's something that you hockey guys take for granted. And I said, what is it? He goes, line changes while the play is going on. Because in no other sport would they see it. You don't sub out players in basketball when the game's going on. You don't do it in football. You don't do it in baseball. He said, we would do wholesale line changes, and the place would go like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And 5 of the guys would come on, and they'd be like, we've never seen this before. This is incredible. He said that got such a reaction from because they're all new hockey fans. And he said, you hockey guys take it for granted. That changing when the play is going on is so unique to a sport like hockey. Like, these were new fans. Like, was there anything like different about them that you could recall? Like, what did they like? Because Eli said it was line changes.
Well, you look at September until, I would say, early November.
Yeah.
It was Bear Bryant. It was Alabama,
Yeah.
night and day. Sunday from 10 o'clock until 12 o'clock, it was Bear Bryant show. The city stopped. And Friday nights was high school football.
Yeah.
Every high school had 10, 12,000 people at the game. So we were fighting that in that time frame of the season. But again, we were playing under 500, so we weren't getting a lot of fans. But when Thanksgiving hit, like most places, even when playing DC for the Capitals, we knew our fans would increase when Thanksgiving came because there was no more high school or college football.
Yeah.
You know, I asked a question when I went to Mississippi, which is the same. We're 4 hours from Birmingham, and I asked a fan after about 2 weeks because we were starting, and I said, "What do you like about this?" And he says, "You know what?" He's talking. He says, "I like it." He says, "Scoring goals when our team is winning, that's good. And when you guys beat up those little old guys from the other team, that's really good." And so that's probably why you got into the fight. Like the team went tough because they really liked the toughness down south.
But again, we had to bring down, some of the Winnipeg had some Kent Nielsen, Bobby Hull, the Swedes, Hedberg, Nielsen.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
They're looking at you
if you didn't
guys.
slow them down, you weren't going to catch them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and it was fun. I mean, but we could play too. We had guys, Napes, Peter Marin, a lot of the Toronto.
Another
Toronto.
Peter Marin. His nickname was was it Raw still back then? His nickname? Because when I played with him with the Marlies, and I just saw him a couple months ago. He was doing well, but because I was looking up that lineup, and there was a lot of Marlies that played there. Jim
Turkovich.
Turkowitz.
Yeah, he was my partner.
Yeah. He was a good defenseman.
Yeah.
Let me ask this: like, you had one of the greatest careers in history. Like, it really did. Like, I mean, what you've accomplished in that. I mean, look at the Norris Trophy winners, the guys that have won multiple ones. You can probably count on, 6 fingers.
Yeah.
But I was looking. You started out in Hampton and those places. Did you get drafted or like? I mean,
I was a second-round draft pick from Montreal.
Okay.
First round in the WHA. But
So you went
that doesn't
to the-
really, what happens in the draft in the WHA. Usually the second round pick or third round pick is really your number one pick.
Yeah.
Because they want to get the NHL
Yeah.
issue going with the money. So I got drafted by, John Brophy, not Brophy, John Bassett was the owner.
Yeah, the
Yes.
owner, John Bassett.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
That's how they
can't-
ended up in
yeah,
Toronto, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's just Kenny Lisman was the real number one pick.
Yep.
And they had the legal stuff. We had the same agent, Kaminsky, another agent thief. But it just everything fell into place for me.
Yeah.
And then I was owned by Montreal and the NHL.
Yep.
And then I was sold.
Did they want you to go back? I was told by someone that they wanted you to go back to college.
I could have if the
But
hockey
you wanted to
program.
turn pro.
If the hockey didn't work out, I always had a right to go back to college and keep playing football. Because in football, the same thing. In any NCAA rules, you can be amateur in one sport and a professional in another. So
Yeah.
if I was pro hockey, I couldn't play college hockey.
Yeah.
I could go back and play football.
Why'd
Wow.
you make the decision? Hockey over because you're a good quarterback, I understand.
At the time, I think it turned out to be I was a better linebacker. And the guy I was playing behind was an All-American, Steve Allen, not Steve Allen. Anyway, talking about memories.
Yeah. Oh, we've been talking about all night.
They said, we need you on, they knew I could play linebacker.
Yeah.
So they put me as a linebacker, and I started the first game, and then a couple of teams were interested, and coaches in football said, stay. A lot of guys are interested in you. And then I had a great hockey season and got drafted. They threw money at me, and I took it.
Money talks a lot of the time.
Well, mostly if you're going to be a gym teacher.
Yeah.
At the time, I was going to make $12,000 a year as a gym teacher, and then work in the summer as a lifeguard or whatever.
Yeah. Well, you know what? And what a lot of people, they probably know it if they know your career, but you were an offensive defenseman to start. Or you had good offensive numbers.
Yeah.
And then I think once you get the Secretary of Defense, nobody thinks you can be offensive anymore. But
Hold on. If you got Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe, and a couple other guys
Savard,
in front of you,
Savard.
I think you learn how to play defense.
yeah,
There's enough offense on the defensive side.
there was a good point by you. Yeah.
Well, why did it work out so great, like right away? Like, why did it work out so great in Washington for you? Like, right away, it was like, bam, Norris trophies, here we go.
Just, I think everything, again, it seems like I've been lucky enough where the coaching staff, the GM, we had issues with the owner. We didn't know he was going to sell it, keep it, whatever. And then David Boyle made some trades. We got Chicago, Calgary. He was associated with Atlanta, so he knew all the Calgary guys that came over. Kenny Houston, he had Bully. Then you had a guy I played college with, Bobby Gould, was a great player in college, and he was a steady defensive forward in the pros.
What building did you play in? And then
The old Cap Center.
The old
Cap
Cap
Center.
Center.
USA Arena.
Yeah,
Cap
whatever it's called.
Yeah, back then, again, money.
Yeah.
Money talks on names on the buildings.
Yeah.
But I think the way that everything worked out, where I became a captain in training camp, and they were rolling dice. Mike Gardner and Bobby Gould were the assistant captains, and we said, all right, and then I put my 2 cents in. We got to play like Montreal. We said we play defense first. Mike Gardner just scored, I think, 50-something goals.
Yeah.
Bobby Carpenter
Was
up
Dennis
there with
Baruch
50.
on that team?
Dennis was he just scored 60, and Dennis, him and Brian didn't see eye to eye because they wanted, Dennis scored goals, but never got in the playoffs.
No.
Yeah.
So there was a big, I won't say friction between the young team or the new team and Dennis and Mike and a couple of the guys. We were saying, well, you got to change if we're going to make the playoffs. I had Brian Ingboom in my back pocket as a teammate in Montreal, Doug Jarvis, who one of the better defensive forwards. Then Craig Laughlin, who was up, he scored 30-something goals. He was drafted 12th round.
Yeah.
But so we had guys that filled in spots, and we went on a roll. And I think we had a month and a half left. We were in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then the fans and playing, the scheduling that I was in New York almost every day. It seemed like we were playing Jersey, Islanders,
Devils.
Rangers, and we're playing them like 8 times a year.
Each. Wow.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
remember it used to be 4-4?
Yeah.
Right about that time, they changed the format to eliminate the big trips.
Well, but that's, you talk about, you wonder why there's fighting and everything. When you build up the hatred for an organization or a team like
games.
that, you're playing like that. You want to.
One year we played Philly 12 times.
Back in that time, that's
And then we took 3 games in the
in the
exhibition.
playoff. In preseason. Oh my God.
And then by the end, the games were taking 4.5 hours. And you spent time just picking up sticks and gloves.
Yeah.
The whole time, more than playing.
And Brian would, the biggest guys, that came up from the minors, says, "All right, let's see how tough you are."
Yeah.
In the first 2 periods of fighting.
Personally, and Gabby may dispute this, I think the best year that hockey ever had was 1987. And you look at all the great things that happened in '87. There was the Canada Cup, which may be the best hockey that's ever been played. There was a great 7-game Stanley Cup final between the Oilers and the Philadelphia Flyers. Even though it didn't work out great for the Caps, the Easter Epic is a game we'll all talk about until we draw our last breath. And there's also something that you were part of that I keep barking about because I don't want it to get lost to history and lost to time. And that is Rendezvous. It was the NHL All-Stars versus the Soviets. And it was 2 of the best hockey games that I'd ever seen in my life. Just a little cherry on top, Bruce, for 1987.
Where were they played?
Quebec City.
Both games?
Both games.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was, share your experiences and your memories from Rendezvous.
Well, 87 was for me, I was just coming off of injuries. It seemed like early in the season I was hurt. From herniated disc, knee operation, whatever. And I got back in right around Christmas. And all of a sudden, the Rendezvous came up, and Scotty was playing great.
Yep.
He was playing a lot better than I was, and all of a sudden, the certain coaches, like all the All-Stars, select teams, they pick who they want, and Scotty got left out.
Coaches are pricks.
Don't we know?
Sorry. Go ahead. I just lost my train of thought for a minute.
No, but the thing is, there was an issue with. Scotty, when I got back from the Rendezvous, I was saying, Scotty, I didn't deserve to play.
Yeah.
You should have been there beside me. And Larry Robinson, I believe, was sick, or he was just injured. He was down in Florida resting. Mm-hmm. So that opening a place for me to play. So I was I was the one that I got lucky and played. And I played with Rick Green, who we were traded for.
Yeah, for each other.
Each other, and we were one of the better defensive pairings in the games.
I'm always curious about because you're players, and I've always maintained, I've only learned one thing in all my time in broadcasting around hockey is that the only one thing that I've ever learned is you can't lie to players. Players know who's good, players know who's bad, players know who belongs, players know who doesn't belong, and players know when it's a good game. Did you get that feeling you're playing the game, but you're also watching it? Are you saying to yourself, this is amazing hockey? This is incredible.
Well, I knew some of the Russian players because of the '80 Olympics, and I played before in college against them when I was only 18.
Yeah.
So they'll say a couple of those guys, a couple of years older than I was. You don't realize it when there's no information on them.
Yep.
No.
You know,
But how vicious was it? Like, I mean, like, because I remember the Flyers series that they were
back in the day.
like they were just chopping.
No,
I mean, I was wondering if it had gotten any better.
I think we had, again, the team was set up. We had Mario Gretzky, we had the Sutters, one Sutter, I believe. We had Tim Kerr, who didn't play. We had Trop, who didn't play.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 or 4 unbelievable goalies.
Mm-hmm.
And Gretzky won the first game. I think we lost 4-3 in the second game.
I think it was 5-3 because there was one goal differential, remember, and that was how they judged the winner based on aggregate score.
Again,
How could they have a 2-game series? Like, I mean, why don't they have a 3-game series?
well, the thing is, Bruce, the Players Association, back then, again, what happened this year was probably the best hockey you ever asked for with a 4-team All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
But, it's tough to get it all together.
You can only complain about it after it's done, right? Like,
if
it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah. Was that hindsight is what? 2020?
2020.
Yeah, we're all geniuses. We're all backseat drivers.
So you watched a lot of hockey right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so when you played, the blocking shots was such an art. Okay, now you see everybody blocking shots. Like back when you played, like there would be like 4 guys on the team that might block a shot, and right, like I mean, because I remember as
where did Flamingo come from?
Yeah, that's where.
Oh, Rod, I haven't heard that term in years.
But I mean,
Good for you.
I know
Wow.
I was extremely good at going out to the point and looking like I was going to block it, but just missing it. Like, I mean,
So you're educated.
but like how many like ice backs did you think if you had today's equipment, it would be even better? Like it took a lot of balls to block shots back in the days.
Again, I was a catcher in football, baseball, so it wasn't. I knew how to do it. I mean, I taught players how to block. Brian Engblom, Scott Stevens, all those guys. No one teaches. It seems like no one can teach you because you got to have the timing, or you're going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And there's techniques that you can do, and the ones that they don't know what they're doing, they get it on the side, the kneecap, or
But because you weren't protected like you are today. Like we were talking to Stan Bowman at one point, or I was talking to him, and he was talking about how many shots are blocked nowadays. Like I mean, you look at the score sheets, and it's 23 shots to 21. And because every team has got so many blocks, back then, it's 40 to 37 because only a certain amount of guys would have the courage to do that.
Yeah. Again, I don't look at that close, but again, the blocking the shots is just technique, and then are the shooters that good?
Mm-hmm. Good point.
You look at some of the guys that know how to shoot the puck beside blockers.
Yeah.
And then. It's just how many times as a defenseman, the worst thing you can do is get your shot blocked. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get it by the first guy. That's one of the rules.
100% it is. It's still go. Like I mean, that's what we still preach about today. Is don't let that first guy block the shots, and then because all hell can break loose.
Break the other way.
Usually it does.
But if you get it by that first guy, that's when you go to the net and good things happen. Because if you watch goals right now, you don't know. There's so many in-offs. I don't remember, like whether it's the 80s, 90s, or whenever, how many goals go in off people in front of the net as they do now.
Oh yeah, there's a lot.
Back then it was 2.
Yeah.
I bet back then, remember there used to be 2 guys in front of the net? Mm-hmm. I remember Gillies, Nystrom, Trinelli. Those guys, that's who I play against all the time. So I know you had both defensemen trying to block out 2 guys. Mm. And then you have Trottier in the middle, or Bossy in the middle, shooting the puck.
That's there's a reason they won 4 cups in a row.
Exactly. But the nice thing, I played with a team that won 4 in a row too, and what a way to come up and practice with them.
Well, yeah, in those Montreal teams, which you're talking about, I think the one year, I can't remember, they still say it was the greatest team ever. You only lost 7 games.
It was year before I got there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Like I mean, How tough is that to only lose that amount of games?
You know what I heard about? I always heard about that team from other players was they would, and you would know this, they would intimidate you with their morning skate. Like, oh, don't go watch them. You're gonna throw yourself. Like that's how good Montreal is. Like, don't watch their morning skate because they're just so good. I remember the Red Army would roll through and guys would just watch their morning skate and like, these guys are so much better than us, and they had you beaten by the time you got to the rink.
Edmonton was the same way.
Edmonton was the same way. I was always told like the morning skate was like a secret enforcer for those Montreal Canadiens teams. Like they beat you at the morning skate.
I had to practice with them.
What was it like?
Oh my goodness, you just hope he survive. Because that's when you learn, my first year, I played, 30-something games, and then another All-Star game, they played in New York City, and Scotty was the coach. I can't remember, it was a challenge?
Challenge series.
Series. Well, I wasn't going to Florida. I was going to Novi. So they sent me off to Novi for a month to keep me in shape. And right before the deadline, I was called up, and I made the playoff roster, and I won the Stanley Cup because of it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, but the stories, when you look at how things work out, and I've been telling you guys, I was a lucky guy, and I worked hard when I had to, which was all the time. But guys, coaches, and GMs and scouts see the guys at work, and hopefully they reward you.
We only got a couple of minutes here. We got a game to get to, all of us. But I want to ask you about a young Scott Stevens.
Oh.
And I want to ask you about one thing specifically. Because I remember watching him play with the Kitchen Rangers, and he was just like physically stronger than the other teenagers. And every time I would watch Capitals Flyers, Dave Brown testing the kid every single game. What do you remember from that? And did you talk to Stevens about it? Because he's a kid, and here's Dave Brown, who was king of the jungle in the NHL.
Let's see. First game we played, exhibition game, Scotty played, and we played Philly in Hershey. Scotty catches Taylor. Was it Tim Taylor?
Tim Taylor, for Philly.
Caught Tim with his head down, coming across. Snapped his leg. That was it for him, Tim.
Well, he did that to a few guys, but
and he did.
Yeah.
And solid as a rock, and no one challenged him. And then we won that game, and then the stuff got out there. Scotty, and he was scared that he was going to go back to Kitchener because he was only 18.
Yeah, just a kid.
So they got to make a decision.
Yeah.
So they got some babysitters where he could live, and all of a sudden Brian and David Boyle came to Brian and myself, so you're going to have to babysit this kid. So I said, all right. So it worked out, and then all of a sudden, Brian took over. And Brian was his mentor, and he had Scotty under his wing. And I can't say I didn't help Scotty mature, but it was mostly all Brian.
when you see him playing back in the day, and he was my assistant coach my first year in Minnesota. One of the nicest, softest spoken guys you ever wanted to see. But then if the eyes started squirreling.
When the wires would start crossing?
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Bye Bye Birdie?
Yeah.
Okay, with Dick Van Dyke. And he was inventing a drug called Speed Up, and they'd give him the drug, and then the eyes would start twirling, and everything would go. And that's what I'd see when Scotty, when like a guy like Ryan Suter would say, "No, I don't want to do that," and he was the coach on defense, and all of a sudden it would go.
He had another level.
Yeah, he did.
But again, he didn't. It cost us some games, but his team play and his presence on the team meant so much to us. That's why we didn't miss a playoff.
This has been great. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks so much for parking some time with me and Gabby here. We appreciate it.
And thanks a lot. It's great seeing you. Yeah.
All right, Gabby, that was a fun conversation. Always good to catch up with Rod Langway. Now, speaking of Washington Capitals defensemen, last Monday against the Columbus Blue Jackets, two Caps defenders scoring goals 12 seconds apart. That is a new Washington Capitals record. Jakob Chychrun and Chychrun Carlson, the previous record held by Rick Green and Robert Picard, 20 seconds apart. going back to 1979. Listen, the Caps have had a lot of really good defensemen. I think that history still needs to talk more about Calle Johansson. Scott Stevens was elite. You had Mike Green, Sergei Gonchar, Kevin Hatcher. I love Brendan Witt. I love Carl Alsner. We can go on and on. But right now, Jakob Chychrun leads all defenders in the NHL with 10 goals. And don't look now, but John Carlson has 22 points. You have a thought on what we're seeing from these two Caps rear guards right now?
Well, I think you're seeing a renaissance in John Carlson. I think after an off year last year and him being fully healthy this year, I think he's had time to train and get ready. And this guy has put up 70 plus points in the NHL before. He can do that. I mean, he's got a tremendous shot. He's up in the play. He knows how to jump into the play. And the way the Caps play, where they bring all 5 guys up the ice and everybody's attacking and they shoot pucks. I don't see why he can't do what he's doing. And I still think, he's sitting there going, you know what? I know there's a lot of great U.S. defensemen, but I've been one of the best ones. I've played international hockey before. I'm going to put my foot forward. Our team is good, and show them that I could play on the Olympic team. And I think he's putting his best foot forward, and I think they're making it tough. They're going to make Billy Guerin have a tough decision with him, especially if he continues at the pace he's going. You talk about Jakob Chychrun, and he's scoring every night, and he's got an unbelievable shot. You know what? When I was coaching, especially, I remember one day vividly in Vancouver when he took the puck just at our bench in the second period, took 2 steps and then did that wrist shot that it went right under the bar. And I'm going, whoa, can this guy shoot the puck? And I think he's in a happy place right now, and he is playing like the guy that they thought he would be. In his draft year, let's not forget he tore his knee up. He was, so he went from maybe a top 5 to about 15th or something. And then, but he's playing, when you're playing in Arizona, you're not getting really the love that you should be getting in some high market places. So but now he's in a spot that A, they love him, and B, he's got 10 goals and 22 points. The Caps, I think, are the leading team in the league for points from the defense. And to me, there's not that there's no stopping, but there's no ceiling. They continue to do this. I think they're going to be, those 2 guys are going to be great. And they're doing it when the power play is very middling right now, too. Yeah. Their power play isn't that great, but these guys are 5-on-5 as good as anybody. And what I love about both of those defenses, they're just not soft defensemen that can rush the puck. They're tough, physical guys that get right in there and are in the mix all the time, and they both play 25 minutes. It's a great combination to have with both Chick and Carly.
So Washington Capitals weekend was an interesting one. Washington now on a 4-game winning streak. They won a pair over the weekend, 4-2 against the Maple Leafs, and then Sunday 4-1 against the Islanders. In that Islanders game, Tom Wilson with a pair. He's now up to 15. Logan Thompson stopping 30 of 31 shots sent his way. All the underlying numbers, you look at this game, will say the Islanders, quote unquote, should have won the game, but Logan Thompson was the difference. It's rare, Gabby, that you can see in a salary cap universe a goaltender steal a game. But man, that was about as close as seeing a goaltender steal a game as we saw on Sunday. Logan Thompson was fantastic. And I mentioned Tom Wilson, 15 goals so far. Logan Thompson's been elite. We keep talking about the Olympics with these two. Do you have any more logs to throw on the Olympic fire with Wilson and Thompson?
Well, if Wilson and Thompson aren't on the team, in my estimation, Canada's done a disservice to Canada. These guys are not only elite, we're talking about that game that he stole a game, but the Leaf game, the Leafs were winning most of the game. Then all of a sudden, Logan Thompson would have to stop a breakaway, and he would have to stop a shot from Matthew Nyes in the slot. He was making the saves that you had to make in the important parts. It wasn't just the amount of shots or anything. The big saves, the breakaways that he's stopped, I think he's an incredible goaltender. I really do. I think if we were to do it now, like, I mean, I know Doug Armstrong is loyal to Binnington, but I gotta believe Logan Thompson is the best Canadian goaltender out there right now, and I would give him the full opportunity to be the number one guy. As far as Tom Wilson is concerned, listen, he's earned it. You know, I mean, has nothing to do with the fights last year at the Four Nations, but board battles, winning board battles, smart play. That's what Tom Wilson does now. And when he does hit you, it's fair, but it's very punishable. Everybody's afraid of him. And I mean, to have a guy like this as a third or fourth line guy on your Team Canada would be so impressive. I really hope whoever's picking these teams does the right thing. Watch a lot of hockey, and I don't think there's two better players that you could have on your team than Wilson and Logan Thompson.
Okay, so the Washington Capitals kick off a California trip to greet December. Games Tuesday and Wednesday against the Kings and the Sharks. They visit the Honda Center with a date with the Anaheim Ducks as well, and then they're back to Washington. I want to ask you about two of the teams that Washington will face. The San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. I guess we can probably throw the Chicago Blackhawks into this mix as well. When we look at the next great teams that we're starting to see develop, you know, these teams have played in squalor the last few years as they've rebuilt their organizations. But listen, that Sunday night game between Chicago and Anaheim was as exciting a game as I've seen all season long. Ducks go up 3-0, and then here comes Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks, and it turned out to be a Blackhawks win 5-3. Connor Bedard is beacon at the bench. The San Jose Sharks are starting to make people wonder if they can actually make the playoffs this season. When you think about the Sharks and Celebrini, when you think about the Ducks with Leo Carlson, when you think about Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks, Gabby, what goes through your mind?
Changing of the guards right there. I mean, you've got young players that are going to become, if they're not already, superstars, and they're going to turn the page on what those three teams have been like in the last 5 years. I mean, the Ducks since 2016 have done nothing. Or 10 years, it's almost, right? And San Jose's been the same way. And the Blackhawks, since they won the Cup, they've been bottom feeders. Now they are no longer bottom feeders. Now, I don't know how long this can last, quite frankly. Can it last all the way to April and put a fight in? Maybe not. But I mean, I think they will be in the talk all the way up to March. To both of these teams, all three of these teams. I mean, I look at San Jose. Anytime you think you're going into San Jose now and it's a cakewalk, you're sadly mistaken, because it doesn't matter who you play. They play you tough. They're 6-1-1 in their last 8 home games. And they just had to learn how to win. I mean, their first 5 games of the year, they were terrible. I think they were 4-1. But after that, everybody from Yashkarov in net, who was horrible early, to like everybody talks about Celebrini. That Will Smith is one hell of a player, and and they're getting great secondary work from a lot of their players. I think Mike Greer's done an amazingly good job, and I think that team is going to scare a lot of teams. I think Anaheim, Pat Verbeek has just done a really good job right now of veterans and young guys. And he's got to continue doing it, because the veterans will sort of age out, Kreider's having a great year. Gudas is having a great year. All these Killorns and Trubas. But, I mean, I think if it takes longer than 2 more years, these guys will all be, in their mid to late 30s. So, I mean, it's I think Anaheim's going to make a run at it. I think they'll be in the playoffs for sure this year. Also, I think, Joel is just like John Cooper to me. I think they're both the best coaches, and I think they will find ways to make these teams win and not let them say, "Oh, here we go again. We had a good run." They're going to they're going to keep them going. I can tell you that.
All right, a couple of things. We opened up the podcast by talking about Quinn Hughes. I'm curious about some other defensemen that you've coached along the years, and I know that you have a special place in your heart, both with Hershey and with Washington, for Mike Green. We want to get to some Anaheim and Minnesota defensemen as well, but give us a thought or two on your relationship and your thoughts on Mike Green.
Well, Mike Green, I thought, was an amazing person. I mean, he was free spirit. At the beginning, he probably wasn't as good defensively as you would have liked him to have been. But, you find out about people really quickly when you're a coach on how to handle people. And like, I remember one of the first times Mike Green was in Hershey, and he was just awful, just giving pucks away, not covering his guys, doing a lot of stuff that young players in the American League do. And I started screaming at him coming down the bench, and I was loaded for bear. And like, he just sort of went into a complete shell, and he was worse after I yelled at him than before. And then, so the next time this had happened, I don't know what it went up. I thought, okay, different approach. I went up to him, put my arm around his shoulder. I said, Mike, I need something from you today. You're not doing it yet. Let's get better. And all of a sudden he took off. So now I'm sitting there, okay, here's a sensitive guy, and I've got to talk to him differently than I would talk to somebody else. And so, I mean, and he became, I think, the best offensive defenseman for an era in the NHL for a while. I mean, he scored 30 goals the one year, and he set the record of scoring 8 goals in eight straight games. And the 8th game he scored, it was in Tampa. I'll never forget it. He took a shot, it was blocked, and it went straight up in the air, came back about shoulder length, and he took a baseball swing from the top of the circles, and it went in the top corner. And that's the kind of talent he had. Great on the power play. He could feed Ovi as well as anybody. Great kid. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. He liked to have fun. But I mean, all those guys did back then. And I mean, you just had to know how to handle them, I think. But what a tremendously fond memory. Every time I think of Mike Green, I really pushed for him for the Norris. The one year he got 30 when they gave it to Duncan Keith. But I mean, he was plus 48 and he had 30 goals. How can you not give it to him? But I think he came second in the voting.
Okay, one more defenseman with Washington who wasn't really a defenseman, although we saw him play defense with the Detroit Red Wings. He can play every position, maybe even goaltending. Who knows? Tell us about Sergei Fedorov playing D with the Caps.
It was amazing. I mean, George McPhee gave me the idea. He says, if you get down a goal, Sergei can play defense. And so we tried it. And then he was so good at it, we said, well, when we get up a goal, he can play defense. So, I mean, I was putting him in pressure situations, both on a defensive side and an offensive side. But here was a guy that could adapt so well to anything. Yeah, it was very similar to another player that I played with. And his name was Mark Howe, who was a left winger all his life in junior. Then when he got to pro, he changed to D and became the best D in the NHL for many years and a Hall of Famer. But Sergei was like that. You ask him to play a position, he automatically knew how to play it. He knew how to get his stick position. He knew how to move the puck. He knew how to jump into the play. I mean, he was cool as a cucumber down there. So, I mean, the more it happened, especially in his second season, and when we would go down to, say, 3 lines and we'd put him on defense, whether we needed a goal or whether we needed to prevent a goal, it would be the guy that we'd put out there.
Okay, let me pick off one defenseman from 2 other teams that you coached. Anaheim, and you got a lot of really good defensemen there. Cam Fowler, Shea Theodore,
I was lucky.
Josh Manson. But I want to ask you about Hampus Lindholm, who I always felt that while he was in Anaheim, never got the flowers he deserved. What do you think about Lindholm?
I loved him. He used the word love a lot, but I mean, I really, really enjoyed him. He was not only a great player, but a great person. And one of the things that you never know, some of these kids are young, they're quiet, and so you don't really hear how they feel. But I remember the one thing I do remember is when I got let go in Anaheim the next year, the first game, Anaheim came over, he was looking for me in the coach's office, and he found me, and then he says, Bruce, I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciated you and how much you taught me as a defenseman, and the way we played, I loved it. And I'd never expected that. And when I heard that, I was pretty taken back. But I mean, because Swedes are sometimes pretty quiet guys, you don't get the, all of this stuff. But when he said that, and he gave me a hug and thanked me, I felt like I did my job in Anaheim pretty well to get through to young players and make them better players. But he could do it all. He didn't shoot the puck enough. He still doesn't shoot the puck enough because he's got a great shot. But he can do everything else. He can defend. He can move the puck. He's a big, strong guy. He's not going to fight too often. But I think Boston, if he can stay healthy, has got a really good player.
Minnesota. Now, I've always believed that one of the events they should have at the NHL skills competition is fastest backwards skater. It is a core component that defensemen need to be able to do: close gaps, skate, C-cut backwards fast. And I've always wondered if Jonas Brodin of the Minnesota Wild, if you lined him up against all the other defensemen in the NHL, if he would be the fastest backwards skater in the league. He goes up against Connor McDavid night after night when Minnesota plays Edmonton, and he goes stride for stride backwards with Connor McDavid. It's one of my favorite things to watch. You have a thought or two on Jonas Brodin, and could he be the best backwards skater you've ever seen?
Yes, he could. And that's exactly what we used to do, is anytime Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon would go on the ice, we would get him on the ice. And the other thing is, we wanted him right in their face, because we knew he could skate backwards and not let them beat him to the outside. I mean, so his gaps were always great. And we challenged him, to say, hey, and Scott Stevens was outstanding at this, is telling defensemen how to play. And he was my assistant coach the one year. And he would just say, get right up in his face, dare him to try to outskate you, because Jonas Brodin could skate backwards faster than guys could skate forwards. And then he could get the puck off the boards when they dumped it in, and he could go forward and backward, or forward or backhand, just as easily. So, I mean, when he was healthy, he was like a game changer. He's starting to get a little bit better offensively as he gets older. But I mean, his defensive acumen is right at the top, and his skating ability is right there. We had another guy, I don't know if I ever told the story, Ryan Suter. I mean, we always wanted to make sure that we had to have one, when you play Connor McDavid, you have to have one player playing above him all the time, because he likes to get the puck in full stride at the blue line. And if you're below him, you're never going to catch him. So I remember that we didn't have a guy above him, but we had our two defense above him, and he picked the puck up at the blue line in stride, and Ryan Suter's coming by our bench, and he's going, uh-oh, and he just blew right by him. Like there was nothing he could do. It wasn't Ryan's fault. It was just like a freight train coming through. And but you heard it and you knew it was happening. So you need those guys that, if you're going to contain Connor Bedard, it's got to be, or Connor McDavid, excuse me, it's going to be twofold. It's going to be the one guy's got to be above him all the time, and the defensemen have got to be in his face all the time. If you give him room, he's going to beat you.
We've seen it over and over again. I still remember his first game in the NHL. It was a Thursday night against the St. Louis Blues, and he did something to Jay Bouwmeester that I've never seen anyone do to Jay Bouwmeester, and that is, on a rush, Jay Bouwmeester turned his back, showed his name bar and his number, and skated forwards back into St. Louis's own zone. I've never seen anybody do that to Jay Bouwmeester. Okay, let's get into HeyGabby here. So for your chance to ask Bruce Boudreau a question, use the hashtag HeyGabby. So this comes to us from the NHL Trade Alert feed. Hey, Bruce, as a coach, how often were you consulted on trades prior to them happening? Do you have any funny stories about your team acquiring a player that was a surprise to you? So 2 questions. ever consulted, and which trade surprised you the most?
Wow, it's an interesting question. Very rarely um, was I consulted upon. The way that the my guys, my managers have gone about it with me in the past is they say, "What do you think we need?" And what position would it be? For example, when we picked up Fedorov, I told George McPhee, I said, George, we need a second line center really bad. And he came down and he says, I got Fedorov. Is that okay? And I said, yeah, he'll do. I mean, so I thought that was very,
Yeah, it's all
very
right.
funny. In you know what? Unfortunately, in Anaheim, Bob Murray wouldn't ask anybody; he'd just go out and do it. And
Right.
so you never knew who you were going to get until you came into the room the next day and said, "Oh, hey, he got traded for us." So that was that. Chuck Fletcher would ask me. I mean, the one year Martin Hansel was sitting in there, and he said, what do you think about Martin Hansel? And I said, well, he's a big center. He could be our number 3. He'd be really good. So we went out and got him. Didn't work out for us, but Chuck was always one to really listen. And I mean, he understood that, coaches are in the room every day, and we know the players as well as anybody, and we know the needs of everybody. So that was that in Vancouver. It was a little bit different. We had a big meeting, and I think we were only 4 points out of the playoff spot that first year, and they were looking at trading all the assets, and I'm saying, whoa, you got to leave some guys here. And I really fought hard to keep Luke Shen, who they wanted to trade, and because he was a real leader in the room, and he was Quinn's defense partner, and I thought that would be really a sellout if they had gotten rid of him. So I mean, the only guy we ended up losing was Tyler Mott. The only guy we picked up was Brad Richardson, who was in Calgary, hadn't played many games all year, and sort of gave the players at that time saying, like, I mean, you could see them walking around the room. She said, well, I guess they don't want us to make the playoffs type thing. And I think it's really important that GMs, when they do these things at the trade deadline, give the team some hope and show them that they're all in too, because the players want to be all in. They want to win. They want to make the playoffs. They don't want to think that management has failed them by not trying to make them a better team. And they don't have to go out and get stars, but just even a little help is great. So, but those were probably the only times. Yeah.
Right. Was there to the other question? Was there one trade? Maybe it was Fedorov. Was there one trade that really shocked you? Where you're like, "Ooh, wow! I didn't expect this one to happen." But look at this new Ferrari I get to drive.
No, you know what? We were always in the running. We won those 8 straight division titles, and we never needed a player to get us over the hump. We needed or a player to get us into the playoffs. We were looking for that complementary piece all the time.
Right.
And so there was nothing that really we went out and we got Bobby Orr yesterday, and freaked me out. But but I mean, those ones that I said, George and Chuck, they always kept me a part of it, which I think was really important.
Right. Okay, we finish off the show here with story time, and I want to do something a little bit different with you on today's podcast, Gabby. So this Thursday, the St. Louis Blues are in Boston to face off against the Bruins. Now, why is this noteworthy? Jim Montgomery returns to Boston, first game against his old team. Do you have any stories about your first game coaching against the Caps, or in Minnesota against the Ducks, or in Vancouver against Minnesota? Anything jump to mind there, Gabby?
Well, I guarantee I must have talked about it a lot, because the players knew it was important to me to come in and beat that team. I remember when we played our first game, from Anaheim back into Washington. We beat them 3-2. And when I came into the dressing room, got a standing ovation from the players. And I
No
thought
way.
I thought that was really cool. And so, I mean, and they knew I wanted to beat them pretty bad. You know, coaches, we don't usually put money on the board, but put money on the board and they know how cheap I am. So if I'm putting money on the board, they know that I'm ready to give it away. So that was good. I mean, I know when I was in Vancouver and we went back to Minnesota, by the way, let's go to Anaheim. When I was in Minnesota and we went to Anaheim again, put money on the board. We won. Everybody was pretty pumped up. They're going, okay, like, I mean, do we get to go out tonight? Is there a curfew? What's going on? They knew I was pretty pumped, but I stood my ground. But those first games, always back against the other team, were really important to me. The only one that we lost was when I was in Anaheim or in Vancouver and went to Minnesota. We lost in overtime. And that was the first game back, and that bugged me. But I thought we were the better team most of the game. But I'm sure every coach would say that. But we lost in overtime to them. So the returning game, it's really nerve-wracking. Like, I mean, you're nervous. You don't know how the people are going to react, and you want them to react well. But you definitely want to win that game, and you want to go out and say, show you there, you shouldn't have fired me. Boom, you know, I'm doing a good job. So
Gabby, consistently week after week, you continue to have the best stories. Look forward to the next podcast. In the meantime, enjoy your week. As we mentioned earlier, the Washington Capitals are in California this week. We will rejoin you in 7 days for more of the Hockey Lifers. Thanks for joining us this week.